So I want to talk a little bit about the piano that I play on. The piano that I play is a Yamaha AvantGrand N2, and it's kind of a unique piano. It's a hybrid piano. And so what does that mean? I mean, we're obviously not talking about a car here, so it's not a piano that runs on gas and electric. But what it is it's a combination of old technology and new technology, which is what makes it unique. The old technology is that the piano has a fully wooden action. So each key, like in an acoustic piano, has about 150 moving parts that are made of wood. And that's what allows you to transmit the motion of your fingers to striking the strings and getting the sound and transmitting the emotions that you feel, etc., into sound. And that's a problem when you're trying to build an electric piano out of springs and other things, is you just can't duplicate the kind of action that an acoustic piano has with those 100 plus moving parts on each key. But the Yamaha AvantGrand N2 uses an actual wooden action that's taken out of a Yamaha concert grand piano and just slides it into a smaller box that's about the size of an upright piano. And the only difference between that action and an actual acoustic action is, instead of hammers, it has weights that are exactly the weight of what the felt hammer would be. And as you know, the felt hammers are a little bit heavier on the bass than they are on the treble, and so the weights precisely duplicate that. So your fingers feel that. In terms of duplicating the feeling of an acoustic piano, another thing is the damper pedal, or the sustain pedal. So the sustain pedal, when you push it down, it lifts up 88 dampers that sit on top of the strings in an acoustic piano. And there's a particular feeling that goes along with that. And not only that, but as those dampers get lifted, it changes the way the key responds, because that damper is lifted up off of that key, and that key now responds differently in terms of weight and how it moves. So this piano actually has all of that, even though the sound of the dampers is duplicated electronically. They're a physical set of dampers that you're lifting, and so the weight change for both the pedal and the keys, you feel that, and it's rather extraordinary. The final thing is that the N2 has 10 speakers, and some of those speakers are directed toward sending the energy of the sound back through the wooden action of the keys, so that the vibration of what would have been the strings is transmitted back through the key and into your fingers, just like they would in an acoustic piano. So if you were blindfolded and you were simply playing the piano and listening, you would have a very difficult time telling the difference between playing a hybrid piano and playing an actual Yamaha CFX 9-foot concert grand piano. So it's a very unique experience. But what that gives you, and this is kind of interesting, is it gives you the ability to record MIDI, which is something you wouldn't normally be able to do with an acoustic piano. You can record MIDI, you can record sound, you can do a lot of very interesting things. It has a metronome that's built in. It also has a number of different sounds. I don't typically use these sounds, but if you wanted to use a harpsichord sound, or an organ sound, or the sound of an electric piano, and it has a few other sounds, you can use those sounds. So there are lots of things that you can do with a hybrid piano that you couldn't do with a normal piano. Now, the way that I use the piano and the workflow is I will typically play the piano and record MIDI as I'm playing the piano. Then I'll take the USB disc out of the Yamaha piano and bring it over to my recording studio. Then I have the freedom to manipulate the MIDI any way that I need to, and then I can replay the MIDI through a variety of virtual pianos that I have, and I'll talk about those in another video. And so I have a choice between a number of other pianos that I have, and I can sort of preview what the piece would sound like on those pianos, whether I want to play it on a Ravenscroft 275 piano, or a Fazioli 10-foot concert grand, or a Börsendorfer, or a 1951 Steinway D concert grand from Carnegie Hall that I have a very sophisticated sample of. I also have a German piano that's an upright piano that's 3 stories tall. So I have one that's sampled from that. And that has a very, very unique sound. The longest string is over 14 feet long. And a variety of other pianos as well. And so it gives you a lot of freedom to mold the sound that you want. But you're also able to express yourself in a very realistic way, because you're able to use a true wooden action in order to capture the MIDI. So that's kind of unique. But in any case, that is the Yamaha AvantGrand N2 piano. So we were talking about the Yamaha AvantGrand N2 piano, and this is it. Basically looks like a small upright piano. It's considerably lighter than an upright piano, but the action on it literally feels like a concert grand, so it's kind of incredible in that respect. The keys are wooden, just like a regular piano, and so it's kind of nice that way. As you can see, it's about the size of an upright piano. But what makes it unique is that keyboard. That's a full wooden action. In fact, it's not just any wooden action. It's not a light mashed potato upright piano action like you'd normally find on an upright piano. It's a full 9-foot concert grand piano action, which is fantastic for any student of piano, especially somebody going to college, because it's like weightlifting. You do a couple hours of dexterity exercises and scales and arpeggios on this bad boy, you won't be able to open a refrigerator door or open a can of pop. I recently started digging into a serious practice schedule again, and it was just like my college days. So you won't get that with an electric piano. I would argue you won't even get that with an upright piano. So this is like the best of both worlds. It's fantastic. And so that, my daughter gave me that. I thought that was pretty neat. So in any case, so yeah, and then the lid on this opens up and there's like 4 more speakers on the top, so it gets even louder. It's certainly as loud as a 9-foot piano. And then it's got a volume control, and then 2 headphone jacks. So you can actually have 2 people sitting on a bench and both listening, and then no one else is hearing what you're playing. So that's kind of neat. Again, something that you wouldn't normally be able to do with an acoustic piano. And then of course it's got the full set of sustain pedals, and like I say, because you're lifting real dampers, and the pedals feel very, very realistic. There are more speakers in the bottom part here, so all of that is neat. And then I don't know if you can see the USB drive sticking out of the bottom there, but I've got a USB drive there, and you can record quite a lot of music onto that, and then take that somewhere else and do things with it, such as recording studio. You see some boxes over here in the corner. We're getting ready to put a barn door on my office here. I have a piano in my office. So every time I get to take a break from work, I sit and play the piano, so that's really great. Anyway, but that's the Yamaha AvantGrand N2 piano.